Hi, everyone. This is Deathbird, and you're listening to this Milky Way Ghetto podcast, Voice of the Heroes.
Do it.
What's good, everybody? I'm your host, the one and only one, Fleeboy Jetson, and you're listening to the #1 anime podcast in the world, Voice of the Heroes. So if you're tuning in for the first time, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, click that notification bell so you don't miss any interviews or discussions on some of your favorite heroes and villains from around the world. And today, we have a very special guest. You might have heard him in Vinland Saga, Food Wars, Haiku, and also, he is Rick and Jerry in the new Rick and Morty anime right now on Adult Swim and Max. He is the man, the myth, the legend, Joe Daniels. How you doing today?
Doing all right. I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for coming to the channel. Hope you enjoyed your summer and all that. How's your summer been going?
It's all right. Good amount of work. So I'm good with it.
Hey, can't complain when there's work to be done, right? Work to be done, money to shoe in.
Right. Got to get that.
All right. So now let's talk a little bit about Rick and Morty and the new anime. A lot of people was real suspect about the anime when it was first announced. It was like, hey, why are they doing a Rick and Morty anime when they already got basically the cartoon? Now, me personally, I'm a fan of both. I did watch the first episode that aired last Friday due to recording on August 23rd, 2004. I think the second episode is due tonight, right? Comes out tonight or tomorrow morning.
I think it came out today, actually.
Today, 9 in the morning, I think, right?
Yeah. Today, yeah.
Yeah, it comes out in the morning. I don't know why I thought it came out at night. But the second episode is officially out. I'm probably gonna watch that after the interview. Let's talk a little bit about it. Now, not only are you Rick, but you also got cast as Jerry. How did that come about?
Uh, it was odd. Because it was like a typical audition process where I came in and they gave me some lines for specific characters, and they were like, do you know Rick and Morty? And I was like, yeah, of course I know Rick and Morty. I've watched at that point I had watched like season 1 through like season 5, and then I sort of fell off or something. And as soon as I got the audition, I went back home and I watched the rest of it. And I did well in my audition for Jerry. And so they called me back to do more Jerry. And they were like, let's just throw in some Rick, just because. And then a couple weeks later, I get the call from Andrew Love, who was the ADR director for Rick and Morty the anime, and he was like, "Hey Joe, they really like you for Jerry." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." So, and he was like, "So you're gonna be Jerry," and I was like, "Oh, all right, sick." And he was like, "But also you're gonna be Rick," and then I went,
"Oh, that's awesome news.
What's good? What's up?" Yeah, and he was like, "Yeah, they want you for both." And I was like, "Well, that seems like a lot, but okay, cool, I guess." And then I freaked out for like 12 days before the whole thing started, and I watched way too much Rick and Morty to try and like figure out both of those characters at the same time and get in the headspace of both of them. And it was a wild storm of a lot of stuff. And then we recorded the entire anime, and then it was all over within like a couple of months. And then I realized that I was like, I don't think I breathed for 2 months.
That's awesome, man. I'm happy for you. Congratulations on the roles. I know a lot of people are psyched about the anime, right? Because it's a different take. We get a different story. So Rick and Morty fans, and I'm pretty sure now that they've seen the episode, will basically tell that, hey, this is something different, but it still is fun. It still gives us the elements that we love of Rick and Morty, just more in an anime style. And for Rick and Morty fans, why they should also be happy is because this expands Rick and Morty to the global scale of things, being that it's anime now, it touches Japan and everywhere else, and it's gonna get dubbed a couple of places, which is pretty dope, man. I'm excited for you. Now, that you are Rick and Jerry, right? Which one, even though I know the answer, but which one do you like voicing more? Which one is more enjoyable for you?
So with the anime being how it is, we got to see a lot of like a different side of Jerry. And honestly, like getting to sort of create that side of Jerry that isn't really like shown in the anime or in the cartoon. It was, I mean, honestly, it was very fun. But at the end of the day, I mean, Rick was more fun.
So let me ask you a question, right? Being that Rick was more fun, what type of take did you go with Rick? Like, I know you said you listened to the first, I mean, you saw and listened to the first 5 seasons of the original Rick and Morty, and obviously they had some switch up over there also with the original Rick to the one that's playing Rick now. Did you take anything from those two and develop something new going in the direction with Rick, or did you come through just, all right, I heard it, this is how I vision it, this is what I'm gonna go with?
Yeah, yeah. Well, there was a lot of like talking that we had to do with like the producers and whatnot, and like what they wanted, and then coming down the line to like the ADR director, and then finally ending at me. But it was just a thing of like they would tell me like it's not the same show, and we don't want it to be the exact same Rick, and that's why we have these different voice actors, is because we want it to be anime voice actors who know anime doing the anime voices.
Mm.
And so it was a thing of like Andrew and I talked about it for a while, and he was like, I think bringing in things that people can recognize, like that people say like, that mannerism is very Rick, or that mannerism is very Jerry, right? Like the elongated vowels on some of like Rick's stuff where he's excited, where he's like, let's fucking go, like that sort of that lilting, that thing, like bringing in that sort of stuff, but still maintaining that it is like a different medium. Well, plus it's completely different in the process of like making it, just because when you're doing a cartoon that is made for your language, then there's like storyboarding that goes with voice acting, right? And then usually the voice matches to the animation in that way, but this time we had to match the voice to the animation rather than the animation matching to the voice. And so a lot of like, well, this mannerism might have fit here, but the animation doesn't support it, right? Which doesn't necessarily make it like bad. It just means that a different choice has to be made for it. And so it was just a very different process inside of that. So it couldn't be the exact same thing where like I'm not saying I know what happened in the Rick and Morty cartoon. I have no clue. But like I'm sure they had a lot more freedom.
To do with the words instead, y'all going with the lip flaps and having to squeeze in certain. Yeah, I definitely get it. Now, we take on this journey, right, of Rick and Morty, and we know it's different. But are there any similarities that we can see maybe throughout the anime that has direct contact with the cartoon? Like, we know it's going to be a very multiverse type series, but are there going to be any elements that maybe canonize it to the original Rick and Morty? Or will we see like some type of like, hey, we're in this universe? Like, are we going to get any of that, or is it going to be strictly its own thing?
It's sort of like a yes and no to your question, because in the second episode, Rick is the Rick that we're looking at is identified as Rick C-137. And also, at the end of episode 1, after the credits, in like the little stinger after the credits, we do see the Cronenberg world, and we do see like Cronenberg Jerry like shoot Cronenberg Morty and bring him home. But that's like a sort of like anti-canon thing, right? Because Cronenberg Morty shouldn't exist in the Cronenberg world, because that Morty is the Morty that, anyways.
It's a lot going on with Rick and Morty. I tell y'all, man. Rick and Morty fans that's watching right now, y'all know what we talking about, man. Y'all know how crazy this cartoon or anime now can get. Yeah. So yeah, that's okay. So yes and no. So it is the Rick that we know from the cartoon. It is identified as the same Rick, but just maybe different stories or different type of theme. Okay, bet. Do you watch any of the anime you work on? Because I know a lot of voice actors, right? They get these roles, they get these auditions, they do them, and sometimes they never look back. They on to the next project. Do you, watch any of the content that you're in?
No. Yeah, of course I do. Yeah. Yeah. I loved anime way before I started voicing in it. And so I mean I love watching the animes that I'm in. It can seem a little, masturbatory watching the stuff that you're in just because you're in it. But like at the same time, a lot of the time I even when it doesn't like involve me like heavily, like Helk just came out on High Dive. Helk's a really great show. And I play Lord Azudra in it, but like he's not in like all of it or like a ton of it. But like I love that show. It's incredible. So yeah, I mean I watch the animes I'm in all the time.
Yeah, you're in actually quite a few animes, to be honest. Some great legendary ones. I couldn't even believe you was Thorkill when I seen the credits for it. I was like, my God, this is fucking Thorkill I'm about to talk to right now. Because Vinland Saga is such one of my favorites. Definitely one of my
Oh
top
yeah.
5 animes of all times. Do you have a preference of voice acting as heroes or villains?
Oh man, I love playing a good shonen protagonist, a little shonen hero. They're just so fun. I love the come up. I love starting from nothing and then just making that. But like with the way my voice is, I'm more suited to villains. It just happens more often. And I mean, there's so much to be said about villains. You get like a really good meaty villain who's got like a good purpose, and they sit in that gray area of like, is he wrong? And then
Like a
like,
Thanos type of villain.
yeah, where you look at him and you're like, well, I can't completely disagree with him. Like that's the good shit on the villain end. I mean, like that's good stuff. But no, I mean, like heroes are
Heroes are the thing, all the way to go, man. Hey, let me know in the chat, heroes. What do y'all see Joe Daniels as more? Hero or villain? Let me know, man. Who's your favorite character that he voice acted? Drop it all in the comment section below. All right, now let's go on. Let's stay on the anime side of things. I'm gonna ask you 2 questions that
yeah.
we ask all of our guests. One, what is your Mount Rushmore of anime characters? So you have 4 to go off of. They ain't gotta be the popular choice. Ain't got to be all heroes. They can be, you can mix them up, villains, heroes, anti-villains. I mean, anti-heroes, etc.
Oh man. So like my top 4 characters.
Yeah, 4 horsemen.
I'm gonna go ahead and toss one up there, just an easy one. Kamina Gurren Lagann. That's top tier, automatically goes up there. Man. Dang it. Okay, Armstrong, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Okay, I didn't hear that one yet. Okay.
I love Armstrong, one of my
Full
favorite.
Metal getting some love today.
Yeah, the character has such a good arc, and he's so positive, but then you get the backstory, and you're like, oh, that's why he's so it's a great story. Shoot, Crocodile, One Piece, putting that up there.
Oh.
Yeah. And
I actually had the pleasure of interviewing the voice actor who did him. I think it was John Swayze, if I'm not mistaken. That was Crocodile.
I believe so, and he kills it. He's so good. It's infuriating how good he is. Man, gotta pick one more. I can only pick one more. Soul from Soul Eater. That's my 4th pick.
Who was the 4th?
Soul from Soul Eater.
Soul? Oh, okay. Hey, I like the 4, man. Originals, something I ain't hear before, and all badass characters. I like it. What's your top 3 animes now of all time?
Top
And
3.
you can even throw some, early 90 Fox cartoons or WB cartoons in there if you want.
Okay. I mean, okay, I've already said Kamina from Gurren Lagann on my Mount Rushmore, but I have to put Gurren Lagann in my top anime of all time. It's just it made me cry so many times that it just has to be there. Let's say Gargantia and the Verge's Planet.
I don't even think I've seen that one. I gotta check that out.
Oh yeah, no, it's great. It's a little 12 episoder. It's very like it's like slice of life combined with like mecha and like sci-fi. It's super interesting. It's incredibly well done, and the voice acting is awesome. See, I like anime. If that wasn't clear.
Yeah, that's clear. It made it clear now. They like, yeah, we got one, chat. He's definitely part of the culture.
Definitely got it. And let's say Yu Yu Hakusho.
Mm,
Yu Yu Hakusho.
that's a good one. I didn't like what Netflix did with the live action, but that's definitely a good one. Now, here's a good question for you. What's one line from all of the characters that you voiced? What line resonates with you on a personal level?
The one line that well, I could pick an Ushiwaka one just like really easily, and that's just puns are the lowest form of comedy, which I agree with. I hate puns. But if we're talking like really like resonates with me, I think and I'm gonna paraphrase the hell out of it, so people are gonna kill me. But I think it's actually a Thorkel line. It's
Hey, he had a couple of great ones too.
oh yeah. I think it's like some man, I can't remember it exactly, but it's like it doesn't matter where the flesh of the warrior lives or dies. It's where his soul lies. Like that one. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Now we talk a lot about. Matter of fact, let's get this one last anime question out the way, and let's get to you, and let's break down, who you are as a person. Are there any upcoming or ongoing anime series that you would like to be a part of that you might have seen and you like, wow, this is a really dope show? Or, you say you're into anime, so maybe you might have read a manga and you like, man, when they turn this into an anime, I gotta get on this. Are there any show like that?
I mean, I'm not a part of it, and I've always wanted. I mean, I would love to be in One Piece in any fashion or form. I mean, that's that show. I don't know if it'll ever end. Um, but I would love to be a part of it before it does. I mean, there are a ton of like things that people say need a season two that I would love to be a part of. But like honestly, if we're talking, if we skirt a little bit outside of anime, just to like JRPGs, there's like 1,000 JRPGs that are ongoing that I would love to be the Tales of games, the Persona games, the Fire Emblem games, like any part of those. Yeah.
Have you done any video games?
I've done some. There was a Made in Abyss game that I was in. I was in Labyrinth of Galeria, and then a couple others.
What do
Yeah.
you think is the biggest difference between voice acting for video games and animes?
I would say, I mean, the process is very different just because I don't want to say like simplified, but it's usually not matching animation, usually. Like sometimes it definitely is for like cutscenes and stuff like that. But with the way that a lot of games work is that like it doesn't really need to be matched because usually there's some sort of like software or something that actually as soon as the voice comes through, the mouth moves, right? And so you have a lot in that way. You have a lot more freedom to just sort of do because you're not actually matching anything, except for cutscenes, like I said. But in a way, it's also like more nerve wracking because like like when you're doing like combat sounds, right?
Yeah.
It's people are going to hear this combat sound that I'm about to do 35 times in an hour, right? Because they're going to
Definitely.
as soon as they do, they're going to hear a sound. So I have to make sure that they don't get annoyed with me. So it's fun though. It's interesting. I have a ton of fun doing video games.
That's what's up, man. I like it. I like it. All right, now let's get to learn a little about yourself. What basically, what was you doing before acting and what inspired you to become an actor?
So throughout school, I did like sports and stuff. I was on the basketball team. I played a bunch of sports. I'm not gonna go through it. But at a certain point, I realized that I am uh not very athletic in a good way. And I realized that I'm kind of I'm not tall enough to play basketball at any kind of like higher level. And so I was like, I should probably figure out something else to do. I'm 5'10". I can't really do this for the rest of my life. So eventually, my sister asked me if I would go to a musical theater audition with her. And I was like, sure, why not? I guess. And I did, and I got in the show, and she didn't. And
Oh man, what heartbreaking? How heartbreaking is that, man?
was
Oh man, poor sis. Hey sis, we love you, man. Damn, Joe, what you do to her,
well,
man?
listen, there were just not a lot of dudes there, and that's the only reason I got in. Okay, it was nothing about like talent, me versus her. It was just there were not a lot of dudes. Uh, but anyways, after that, I performed once, and I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. I guess I could do this, if I'm decent at it. So I joined theater, and I did that, and I majored in musical theater in college, which is where I met Jeremy G. As well as
Hey, big shout out, Jeremy, man.
big shout out. I love that guy, sweet dude. Um, but yeah, I mean, like that's and then I went and I worked professionally as an actor for a little while, and I worked as a worked as like a doorman, security bouncer, weird, I don't know, for like a a supper club and bar for a little bit, and yeah, now I just do this and other odd jobs. So yeah.
Hey, we don't want to know what the other odd jobs are, but let's go to the next question. What do you think is the biggest misconception about voice acting? Because a lot of people might think, hey, I got a voice, I could do it. Other people think, hey, man, I know they get paid hundreds of millions of dollars, man. What do you think is the biggest misconception about voice acting that you heard?
Well, if I had ever heard that voice actors make buku bucks, I would tell them they're very wrong.
Hmm.
Very, very wrong. I would say that the biggest misconception that I've heard is that I've heard people with uh less than fluent speech or speech impediments or whatnot say like, oh well, I could never do something like that. But like I myself have had a like fairly decent stutter that still comes out when I get super flustered or nervous or whatnot. And it comes out in the booth sometimes. And it gives me trouble getting through lines sometimes, but these things can be worked through, you know, it just because you have something that holds you back, something like that. It doesn't mean that you're out. It doesn't mean that there's no hope. There are people who don't have these problems. So like, why would I even try? It's, I mean, that's not really, it's not how things work. You can always push through. You can always make something happen for yourself if you want it. And I think that's probably the biggest misconception is that like, you can't make these things work if you have these issues.
What advice would you give to an aspiring voice actor or an actor in general? Because 9 times out of 10, to do voice acting, you have to be an actual actor,
It does help.
gentlemen and ladies out there. So do you have any advice for an aspiring actor?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could throw some. I'm not like some end all be all, font of knowledge or anything like that. But like, I guess just sitting down with yourself and really understanding who you are and why you think the way that you do. Because we all put ourselves down in ways that we shouldn't. We all have those like times where imposter syndrome sets in and we don't know why that we get the good things in life that we do. And just understanding that like everyone is worth the things that you get, and that deserving something isn't really a thing. We get what we get, and good things come and bad things come, and both of them go as well. And so understanding that that's just going to happen, and that pushing through those things is what makes someone strong. I think, I don't know. I think that's probably my best advice.
Definitely. Are there any upcoming projects or conventions coming up that you're able to talk about?
Yeah, but I don't know if this episode's gonna come out fast enough. Yeah, I mean, me and Jeremy are both going to Anime Houston on September 13th, I think, 13th through 15th.
Oh, I'll get it out by then.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I'll definitely, and the links will be in the description below if y'all want to attend that. And where is that, Texas?
Yeah, Houston, Texas. That's right. Yep. Yeah, 13th through 15th. Yeah, Anime Houston. So come out to Anime Houston, and me and Jeremy will be there. I was gonna promise something, but I probably shouldn't. So.
Definitely, man. Tickets for that will be in the description below if you want to go check out Joe Daniels and Jeremy G. Let people know where they can find you at on social media.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at that's Instagram for all you people speaking. At Joe S. Dingles, and then I'm on Twitter, X, whatever the hell you want to call it, at Joe S. Daniels. So
definitely. And you can find me, the one and only one, Fleeboy Jetson, right here every Saturday at 12 p.m. with a new voice actor, new interviews, new discussions, and every Monday at 7 p.m. on the Voice of the Heroes podcast, where we talk about all the latest and greatest things in our nerd culture. Thank y'all for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, heroes, we're out.
Sing it with me, pretty Cali.